We are recording.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CHAOSS Data Science Working Group meeting, June 3rd. We follow the CHAOSS Code of Conduct, and if you haven't seen it, I can share that in the chat here. We also have the Google Notes in the chat as well. And we typically start off our meetings with an icebreaker. So today's question is, what's something that's sitting on your desk? And feel free to put your name on there as well as anything that's on your desk or in your line of sight or area that you like to work in. We have a number of things to talk about today, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. We have two new practitioner guides. Dawn, do you want to talk about these two?
Yeah, absolutely. So we released the first few practitioner guides, and then we spent a long time working on the next couple, but we finally got them out. I worked on the sunsetting one, so that's based on the work that Stefka Dimitrova and I, mostly Stefka, worked on when we worked at VMware. And then Peculiar wrote the Getting Started with Building Diverse Leadership Guide, and we got both of those out last week. So that was super exciting to get two new guides out at once. So we're continuing to work on those. There's another one that I've been continuing to work on that's all the guides we've done so far have been getting started guides. And the guide that I'm working on now, continuing to work on, I've been working on it for quite a while, is the demonstrating organizational value, which is what we're calling an expert guide. So that one is quite a bit longer and a little more difficult to write, but that's making good progress. So still working on that one. Any questions on the practitioner guides?
I don't have a question, but it's really exciting to see that it's transitioning from like going from the more simple analysis to more complex analysis is like I think that's something that's being about within like like within Red Hat right now of like getting to actually make that transition is very exciting. I mean, we're all, especially this work group, data scientists or data science enthusiasts, and so getting to see that is very exciting, and I think shows the maturity of this group.
Yeah, for sure. And if anybody else has any additional suggestions for guides, we're happy to work on. We can work on more of them as well. Cool. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thanks, Dawn. I think this next one is you as well, the blog post.
I have
Yeah.
one quick question, actually.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. When it comes to practitioner guides, I'd be curious, and there might be like a larger conversation maybe later of I'm starting to get some more complex requests that I'm not able to fulfill yet, but it's bringing up some good ideas of like, okay, how do we, this one came in yesterday, I was like talking to my director about, but looking at usage and adoption, like how to actually measure a usage and adoption of a project. We're starting to get our people on board that like downloads isn't the right place, but wanting to like, and so maybe like usage and adoption, and I can start opening up some issues as those come up. But that's like a good, like one of those that we're starting to talk about, and also like wanting to talk about like the forks and relicensing of seeing if like within your research, if you're seeing any like that to be able to turn into like a partitioner guide of how to like look at a project to see if there's the risk factor of a fork or a relicense, or if that's just like out of the picture. Because saying that from your being able to say, hey, Don Foster, who has done a year worth of research on this, says that this isn't practical. I can That's something that I can really stand, you know what I mean? I can stand behind because that's you're coming from a like you've done papers and you've done the research and that is a very informed standpoint versus coming from me at being like, I'm seeing Don doing a bunch of work on this. I can barely breathe, so I can't even tell you whether this is practical or not, but we sure can't do it right now.
Yeah, the forks and relicensing question is much more complex because it's
Yes.
one of those things like I feel like it I don't think we're ever going to be able to predict that because there are so many
Mm-hmm.
projects that have that exact same like dynamics
That's
that
what I'm
never
trying to tell them.
and never
Somebody
and
asked me that. I
work.
was like,
Yeah. I mean, the way I explain it to a lot of people is that, like, statistically, it is such an incredibly rare event that you just don't have enough data to predict it, because there are too many others that fit the exact same profile. But I do love the idea of writing a practitioner guide around adoption and usage. Because yeah, it's not downloads. And this gets back to the question you asked me in Slack the other day about the
Mhm.
yeah. Um
And I'm glad that question, it's like I can see at least the thought process of people are coming around of being like, okay, this is what we're looking at. It's a misleading thing. What's the actual question? And can we answer the actual question? I think maybe usage and adoption is something that we can work on as we go forward, because that's going to be something, a lot of the analysis I do within Red Hat ends up being like a notebook based off of Augur data. And so those notebooks you can connect to any Augur database. And so the practitioner guide with a functional notebook based off of Augur is something that I see is like super practical, because it's something that I'd be doing anyways, and something that doesn't need to be, that's where that can live, so then people can use it. And now that I think like Augur is becoming a little bit more like easier to start up, and having different like how people can have access to an Augur instance, they can do this analysis, stuff like that.
yeah.
I think it'd be cool to like have a practitioner guide, and can we pair that with a functional notebook that's based off of Augur? It is, I think it's very practical from me, because that's how I would practice the practitioner guide.
Yeah. No, that would be super cool. Okay, let's work on that.
Yes.
Right now, because we're both really busy, but soon.
No. And that's like, I guess that's where I just like, for the practitioner guides, where I just want to like have a place to pool the ideas. Is there a specific place to put that? Because even it might not be fully populated, but that's what I'm trying to think about internally and externally of like, okay, people are coming up with good ideas. I know there's going to be an off ramp. Where do we put these things so that we can get to them
Mhm.
later?
Yeah, so there's an issue template for creating basically a proposal for a guide. So if you go to the issues, we can create when you create a new issue, it should show up
On
um
the data science working group.
on the data science working group. So I would say start there. And then what I will do, so I assume that adoption and usage is not going to be a getting started guide. That's going to be one of the more advanced guides. So I have two different templates. And so what I'll do is I'll grab the advanced template and create a doc for it. And we can start throwing ideas in the doc or in the
Yeah,
issue,
I want to. Yeah,
whatever
because I
works
want to
best.
start figuring out that workflow, because that's how I see my work slash hopefully potentially more people that are in the Red Hats work. As we're getting to more complex analysis, if I can make sure that this is being worked in with the practitioner guide and you are working together, that makes it to where it's not just a resource that's used within Red Hat, and we're starting to scale out the practitioner guides within CHAOSS in like a systematic way.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Do you want to create the issue, or do you want me to create the issue and tag you in it?
If you have the bandwidth, if you could create the issue. If not, I'll do this right when we're talking right now, because if not,
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
forget.
Yeah, I can do it later. It's no worries.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Um, okay, I guess the next one's mine too, which is the blog post. So basically, what I'm trying to get in the habit of doing is every few months, especially when we have something kind of new to talk about, is just do a CHAOSS Data Science Working Group update. So I did one 4 months ago, so you can see that kind of the top line there. So I talked about the practitioner guides. They were also featured in an IEEE publication that they kindly let me write about the practitioner guides. So I included a link to that there. And then also trying to get people to submit new ideas for some of the guides as well. So the issue template is linked as well. And then a little bit about the research. So I talked about some of the work that we've done in the past few months on the forks and relicensing. So there's been a lot of presentations about that, and then an article in the New Stack. So I linked basically to all of those, and then mentioned that we're continuing to look at you know, some of the other project health metrics that Chan and Peculiar are working on as well. So I mentioned that work. And then if you scroll down, I mentioned yeah, the foundation project, archive projects. The archive projects is just starting, and the taxonomies hasn't made a whole lot of progress since Sophia's out on maternity leave. So I just kind of linked to those. People know that those are happening. I mentioned the hackathon, and then basically join us. So that's the whole blog post. Is there anything that we're missing that we should add? Anything that you'd like to see more details on? Anything else you can think of?
Not from my side.
Okay, cool. What I'll do is I'll put this up in WordPress tomorrow, and then talk to Elizabeth about getting it published in the next day or two.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool, awesome, thanks.
All right, the next thing is the hackathon, and I have a couple of things for this. There is a page, thanks to Elizabeth, we have a page for it on the CHAOSS website with all the details. And there is a registration link here. Thanks to everyone here who registered. We actually got, I think I looked last night, 30 in-person registrations. And I wanted to confirm if Sal and Sean are attending as well. I do have you guys as Sean, you offered.
I'll be there.
Okay. And
Yeah, I'll be
Sal,
there.
cool, thank you, Sean.
Yeah, my apologies. That was a lie. I will not be there in person, but I will be there in spirit. And I will be trying to get this data set all ready to go for it. So
Cool. Okay. Thank you for that. For that data set, if you won't be there in person, would you be able to join online or would you? Okay,
yeah, 100%. I'll be there anytime,
great.
just online in a box.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And Sean's got his hand up.
Hey, Sean.
Just a quick, I saw there's a bunch of virtual registrants, and my question is, are we using the Linux Foundation's virtuality tech, or are we going to have to generate our own?
I don't know what the Linux Foundation's tech is.
This
And
isn't on the site at the Linux Foundation. This is at the university.
Right. So, okay. So if there's virtual registrants, we will have to manage the remoteness part ourselves. That's right.
Yeah, I think it would be useful for the hybrid portion of this to like kind of like have, since there's like, oh, here's a set of projects and things that are people are working on, of trying to make it to where the projects people are working on in person are kind of one set, and that the hybrid ones are a different set. So then you kind of like people can work in the environment that they're in. I know that there's I'm pretty sure probably some of those are people that I've pointed to sign up hybrid.
okay.
So
Yeah, I think so too. I think we have folks who are a hybrid working on that project. I broke it down into just because I think Peculiar and Dawn are going to work on a project that might be half in person and half online. And so I think we can kind of break down each of the projects into however the leader mentor wants to do it. Is there, do we have a, just kind of going back to talking about tech, does CHAOSS have an account that we can use for the 3 hours on Zoom or any other platform?
This one
Okay.
should be available during that time, unless, because I think we're not having meetings that week, but maybe we are.
But we can have a second meeting ID, right? So.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And what is, Chan, what is the situation in the room that we have from a technology standpoint?
I am still working that out with the professor there. I think I think we have everything that we would expect in a classroom, a projector, computer and everything.
Cool.
And then I have my own laptop that I can plug in.
Okay, awesome.
Is there anything in specific that you'd like to request? Because we can just get it from the school and request it from AV.
No, nothing specific. I'm just thinking that, you know, like you said, they should have kind of the basic stuff that we need to do to have remote participation via Zoom. I'm assuming because the projector probably has the microphone.
Yeah.
So we can, you know, put the audio into the Zoom call.
I will double check with them, but I'm feel confident that they have everything.
Okay.
And then back to Callie's question about or comment about going, keeping some people in person, keeping hybrid and keeping those projects separate. I do have a link here to the slides. And let me use this a little more. Yep. It is not increasing. Okay. So I'm just going to skip to this schedule. And can you see that is enlarged? Okay. We have the room from 9 to 12, so 3 hours. We'll have a quick kickoff. I have a few slides on what is CHAOSS, what is the data science working group, our goals, the tools we'll use, rules, and then handing it off to do very brief project intros. So for all of the project leads or mentors, I'm thinking that we could just quickly go around the room. I can say, hey, Dawn, please introduce yourself. I'm Dawn. I have the archival project. This is what it is. This is some of the tasks that we'll do for it. And this is kind of the template that I was thinking of, that it'd just be a quick slide on the screen. Everyone in the room would have access to these slides so they can look at it beforehand if they want to read it over. But then we'll also have this up on the screen and it'll just be a quick 30 seconds. Hey, this is the project. And then we'll go through each of those and people can decide which teams they want to join. Again, keeping certain projects in person so that they can actually move to those tables and work with those people. And then online, Peculiar and Ajero have offered to help coordinate the online sessions. And so for any of the projects that are online, I'll work with them on kind of coordinating if that's going to be breakout rooms, if they'll be in this kind of larger space. We'll figure that out together.
Hi, good afternoon. I thought you were going to reach out. I was waiting for you to reach out last time, but I didn't get a message from you.
Yeah, I apologize. I haven't reached out yet just because I just created this in the last 48 hours from now. So I will reach out to you in the next day or so here.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for helping with this. So we'll do a quick kickoff, 10 minutes, then people will go into their groups, whether that's breakout sessions online again, or to their respective tables. People will do some quick introductions in their team and then kind of break down the approach, the task, and the roles for starting the group. Then they'll have about 50 minutes to hack, a 15-minute break, and then 30 minutes to continue hacking and leaving about 5 minutes at the end to kind of regroup, summarize what they want to. Doesn't have to be anything formal. It could just be, hey, this is what we've done in this hacking session today. And then each group will have about 5 minutes to present to the fuller group on things that they've learned, what they've accomplished, any visuals they want to share, whether that's in Jupyter Notebook or in their GitHub. And then lunch. Dawn, I see you're talking, but you're on mute.
Thank you. So we have the break, the grab water or a snack. Are they providing anything, or maybe we should bring some snacks?
I put in, so I also have a email out to folks where I just said, this is kind of here's what you need to know. And this will detail like how to actually get into the room, instructions. We didn't want to include that on the bigger website just for safety and security concerns. So this email is going to tell them all the things they need to get. If there are any tools that you all would like them to use, let me know ahead of time so that I can include that here. Logistics on how to get in. But then I also put no breakfast is going to be provided. Bring a water bottle and a light snack, and then we'll provide lunch. I figured that would be a little bit easier since a lot of us are traveling or having to get things there might be a little bit difficult.
Okay.
And then there's CHAOSScon afterwards. If we wanted to, I think we could bring snacks and water for people if you guys preferred.
Well, I won't be there, so no opinion, but if I had an opinion, I would say give them some pizza. It's a hackathon. 30 bucks pizza will take it a long way.
Well, we are gonna have sandwiches for lunch, so that should be good. Yeah, because we could. I mean, somebody could go just do like a run to a local grocery store and buy a bag of miscellaneous snacks and expense it to something.
Yeah, like a bag of, I mean, and this is if somebody has time for it, like case of water, set of snacks, maybe some apples and some cuties, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Anyone willing to volunteer for that?
I can't. I should be able to run to the grocery store at some point. I usually run to the grocery store anyways, before, like, whenever I get on site. So let me just put a reminder down to do that, and I'll just grab some stuff whenever I go to the grocery store myself. Which week is this? This is,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, as long as I put the reminder down now, it will happen. If it doesn't, it's to the ether.
Cool. Thank you, Callie. I'll still put that, asking them to bring some water and a light snack. And then if you happen to go, then it'll be a pleasant surprise for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think the thing that I need help with is filling out the slides for each of the projects. And so we have a couple here. We have the first one is the archival project in person, just putting up kind of a very short one-liner description, what the goal in the hackathon is going to be, and then what are some of the tasks that you'd like to see them do. And then a different version of that for the online team.
Okay, I'll work with Peculiar on that. We may actually combine it because I think the tasks are going to be the same because we're just going to be working out of a shared Google spreadsheet. So different people can be working on different sections, I think. But I'll figure that out, and I have a meeting with Peculiar tomorrow, so we'll figure that out.
Okay, thank you, Dawn.
Yeah.
So we do have, we already reached our limit of people who've registered. We have 30 people who registered in person, 8 people who registered hybrid. Most of those people are students from the University of Colorado, downtown Denver and Boulder and other campuses. So we got a lot of interest. I don't think I'm going to, or I need to look at, how many more registrations we're going to get, but I assume that if it stays around that number, I'll just allow everyone to come and assume that a handful of people are not going to show up, opposed to maxing it out and having people get on wait lists or something. But I'll keep an eye on the registration numbers just to be sure so that we don't end up getting 50 people who show up. And so I think what we'll do is we'll have about 6 people, 5 to 6 people in each of these groups. And so Dawn, you may end up getting about 10 people for the archival project and then having to kind of break down what sections they end up having to work on.
Well,
I have a quick, do we want, or I guess, is there any plan to like send out the project information to people beforehand and then people can kind of like sign up for interest just so that the group leaders have like a heads up on like how many people might be doing different things? And is there a plan of how they're going to get access to data to work with?
So I think everything is going to be public on our data science GitHub page. And so they can get access to the data there. And then we'll also post our notebooks here as well for them to download. So what would be a reasonable time for project mentors, leads to get kind of their things together so that I can send it out early for people to get a sense of which projects there are, if they want to sign up for them, or they kind of keep it in their mind of, yep, that's the project I know I'm going to want to join when I go into the hackathon. So I asked you all what would be a reasonable time to get some of these items together in order to send that out. Or if it's, hey, everyone's really busy, we don't really have time, I think the week of is fine as well. I see Sal's hand is up.
Yeah, I would say that I would like to have people be able to get their hands on data a week before a hackathon in case they want to set up their own environments to play with things. That also holds me to a commitment now though, because I have to get my data set ready in time. So, but also for my part, I'm going to be working through and providing some Jupyter notebooks and making sure it's all actually available on GitHub. I will do it, let's say 1 week before the hackathon, but I think we've got one more meeting before then. So I was kind of going to think of that as the deadline. But for my group, I'm going to be fully remote and we can make a special note that people who cannot be present on the day can sign up for that because it would be I'll be helping out remotely with that. So we can take some of the bandwidth if there are extra people that can't fit in the room. That solves that problem, but also people that couldn't travel to Denver, let them know they've got a way to participate. So, but that means I have to put up a slide around that project and commit to getting the data done with Jupyter notebooks, which I will do now that I'm back from vacation.
Thank you, Sal. What I'll do is I'll also go in here and I'll take some of this description that you all have in the issues and try to fill out as much of the slides as I can. I just asked if you guys can then read that over and then fill out the tasks that you expect the groups to do.
I don't know if we're allowed, would I be able to see who the online registrants are? I'm pretty sure some of them are like, this will make the second phase of this will make more sense, mainly because we have interns that are in Red Hat that are actually very good. I shouldn't say it like that, but they're very functional, actual data scientists now. I just want to see if some of the online registrants are my people so that I can gear them to be the most useful to the online people because I will be in person. And so I know it'll be hard to like gear. But
Yeah, Kelly, I can share with you the form that I sent out and you can check if there's someone, on that list. I will say I didn't get anyone from Red Hat, but everyone,
then
everyone on the list is from the University of Colorado.
okay, then never mind. All good. If there's people that need data, Augur data, as long as it's not have people's names on it, I'm happy to query output, make it to a data source, and put it on the site. So just reach out to me and let me know with some with like at least a week, and then I can probably help out with getting data available for people.
Sounds good, but also recruit all your interns.
Yes. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't, but which they'll probably start coming in here soon. They're like working on doing like some, working on some like chatbot work of being like who are the top 10 contributors in a project, and recommending 8-knot visualizations based off of people's questions. And so they're working on some cool stuff already. So they've dove in, used to this data, and are pretty motivated. And so I'll be excited to see them kind of hop around in here for the next few weeks or the next few months.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and since the archive project is mostly it's the work that we're going to be doing is in a Google spreadsheet. I would prefer not to share that ahead of time.
Yeah, makes complete sense.
I can share like, what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But I just don't want to put that spreadsheet out there until we're ready.
Yeah, it might be good to provide like a set of resources, like where it's like, oh, if there's like practitioner guides or like any type of like data like context for people. If there's a lot of people that are coming from the University of Boulder or the University of Colorado, any more of like pre-reading that's like this isn't required, but any of that I think is good context for people to come in. So then you're not having to explain like anything that can be read beforehand, and you allow those students to kind of digest that before, I think will be helpful for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Sal?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. And this is part where I'm giving work out to someone else on the call, don't know who, but very good idea to, in that week before when we're talking about what the projects are, to just send out and here's how to engage with CHAOSS generally. Use it as your strong onboarding. And that'll get better retention on the day as well.
Yeah, I would definitely point them directly towards the data science working group chat, because it's like, oh, if you have direct questions, to put them in the CHAOSS working group chat. And so then it's like not one person getting overloaded. Like I can commit to like somebody's like, oh, like how does this work? You know what I mean? Like have like general data questions around open source communities. Then we can kind of answer them, point them to resources, stuff like that. Engaging them in the working group beforehand if people are interested, I think is always good.
And I think
do we-
Elizabeth has sort of a standard set of kind of getting started with CHAOSS materials links that she can provide. Sorry, Sal, I think I talked over you.
It's all good. Do we have a Slack channel specifically for this hackathon to point them to?
We don't. Would it be too noisy if they start talking in their regular data science Slack channel?
I vote
Actually,
the regular one.
Yeah, less channels is better.
Well, yeah. And then they all can join and then they can stay in that channel for future projects. So what would it be reasonable to have these slides done by next Friday, the 13th? Okay, cool. Thank you all. And then what I'll do is I'll send this out on that Monday, the 16th, and that gives them about a week and a half to read through anything. Feel free to put in the comments or in the slide itself of like, hey, here's the GitHub page to go read more about this project or this practitioner guide. And that way they can just go in here, look through it. If that data set is already available on GitHub, great, they can start playing with it. And then if not, then that's fine too. But I will share out these slides with them, and that way they have kind of they know what to expect. Some of the responses that we got for what motivated you to join, a lot of the students are undergrad and grad students from the data science program at the university. And so a lot of them, of course, were like, I want to build models. And so I think I want to make sure that in the email to them, I want to set the expectation that, hey, we will be playing with a lot of data, doing a lot of cleaning, some analysis, some visualization, but probably in this short time, not building models.
I think that's a good idea. I also think it's like one of the biggest lessons that I learned whenever I was in college doing this stuff was like there was a professor that really pushed into me like always like take like if data analytics doesn't work, then you do data science practices. Whenever you do data science practices doesn't work, then you start considering like more basic modeling. Basic modeling, you go to AI, and I think that it's a good, it could be a potentially a good informative lesson for them as well. It changed the entire way that I thought about data analysis. Having a professor and having a situation that like pointed towards the value and understanding of what is considered more basic data analysis practices and the value that comes from it. I think this is something we're seeing at a larger scale of people wanting to like hop straight over to like AI whenever it's like we aren't making data informed decisions. There's so much value in that. We're skipping over so much insight and value by trying to go to the most complex and buzzwordy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having foundation for them is going to be crucial, and I'm sure they're already learning a lot of that in their schoolwork too. But making sure that we reinforce that here is going to be good. That's all I have. I want to make sure I give time to the other agenda items too. So I'll put this as if people can fill out their slides by 6:13. And then if anyone wants to uh, have another project up here, I'm gonna try to break down my project into maybe two projects and then Callie work with you on that. And then I think I'll try to figure out another simple one for Ajiro to also work on online. Sal?
Yeah, final question. For this hackathon, are they winning anything actually, or are they just winning community, which is great?
Yeah, community.
Yeah, I never thought like I was thinking whenever I was like because I was somebody who really pushed for the idea. I had never really had, which was a logical thing to happen. I didn't even think about students that were at the University of Colorado being interested in showing up. I don't even know how they found this. But which I think is great, but it's just I was like, oh, we talk about so many different analysis stuff that we all want to work on in here. If we're gonna let's set a time and let's work and let's play and work on something. So I never thought about it for like students, but I think that it's like come learn about it, and I think that it's especially for students that maybe were researchers and stuff, and people are trying to decide on their like if they have a thesis or stuff like that. I think this is kind of a good way for us to promote being like, here's this rich data, like, a lot of rich data, a lot of like more complex questions. See if this is something you're interested in and want to do more with. I think that kind of it tees up for them to learn and maybe want to be more involved and do more academic research around it.
Yeah, and
There's
we
a lot of
did
academics.
it as that there would be a prize, and everyone was still very interested in coming to do community, collaborate, just working. It is their summer, so they're not in school and they just want to come collaborate and do something cool. I actually did get a chance to talk to some of the students, and so I think a few of them did mention they're excited for the part where they get to have lunch and actually get to talk to other people. So.
That's good context to know. I like again another logical thing for them to want, but I'm glad to have that like you know what I mean have that foresight going into it of being like kind of just like open and prepared for people to be asking questions about the work that like there's people that are academics, there's people who work in industry. We're all kind of coming from a different perspective, but still working on this space and that people are trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives and I'm happy to like I wouldn't have been prepared for like people to ask me career questions and stuff that wasn't proposed now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, they might ask you about career questions when you see them in person too. So.
Oh yeah.
Um, I have one last question. I have been trying to think of an easy project that Ajiro could potentially lead online as well. That could just be some data cleaning. But I was actually wondering now if Ajiro and Sal could actually, if it would make sense for you all to pair up similarly to Dawn and Peculiar pairing up on the in-person hybrid model for archival projects. If there's enough, if there's enough space to have kind of breaking down the foundation stats project into maybe two things, or maybe one big thing where everyone on hybrid can start working on it. I don't know if there's enough or.
Yeah, I think totally. I'm still getting some of that data ready to go, but then I will be there and sort of Bajiro can lead it and I will be there to fully support. I think that's excellent. More hands on deck, and I think they're great for it. So yeah, we'll have some more discussion with that, make sure that we are prepared.
Cool.
It also just comes down to the live element of timing on the day, but we can also do recordings.
Okay, sounds good.
That
Thank you.
works for me too. That works perfectly for me.
Cool. Thank you, Jero.
Here we go. Okay, go ahead and spike.
I know we took up a lot of time for the hackathon items and we wanted to talk through other items. I know we're at almost time. But I also have to the top of the hour as well, but I'd say we can just jump into next steps on the foundation stats project.
Yeah, that's on me. So right now I've got the that PR sitting there, but that's on me. It doesn't have the right commits signage to it. But what I am working on end of this week, so it will be ready by like Monday, Tuesday of next week, is taking all of that initial analysis as it stands and putting them into Jupyter Notebooks so that we're at a really nice place for people just to extend that by playing with that data set on Hugging Face. So it's also going to be in a really, really comfortable environment for those that have been doing data science at a college level. So as long as they've like touched Hugging Face before, we should be good to go. I might have to teach them Hugging Face API, but I can also teach that in a Jupyter notebook in less than 10 minutes. So they should be good to go.
Oh, thanks, Sal.
Yeah, and my updates are gonna be super quick because I've done nothing on forks and relicensing because I've been working on practitioner guides and the archive stuff. So the archive, I've got the basic data. I need to put it into a spreadsheet and then think about how we're going to categorize like the reasons why things were archived. So I need to think more about that. But yeah, I'll do that probably later this week, early next week, so that we'll have that all ready to go and kind of wrapped up before we get to the hackathon.
Cool. Thanks, Dawn. And then just to add to the forks and relicensing, me and Peculiar are working on looking at different metrics for that. So number of PRs was one of them, time to close on the PRs, and then using the existing scripts that Dawn had already done for that project and ensuring that some of that data just lines up with the right dates, right companies, and everything that Dawn had already set up. Were there any other items that people wanted to discuss today?
I do have just one comment because over the last 10 years, hackathons have changed wildly from being a thing that people did for fun to being like a weird pseudo career thing that people do in college. So you will get people there that like there's a spectrum of people where it's their first time, or the ones that like I will literally see the same people at hackathons all across the US. They get scholarships and they go and they just, you might get some of those career hackathon people there. And a really interesting thing, because it's only a half-day hackathon, but to keep their attention a little bit more, I think a really interesting way that I saw that handled once was like, okay, you came here, you had massive skills. If this was competitive, you would have won in the first hour, blah, 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 right? Those people, if you want to keep them, ask them like at the end or the mid of the hackathon, like just have a submission form that asks them what their dream hackathon would be and see if there's any that line up, because some of them might have data that they've wanted to play with, that kind of stuff. And if it's appropriate to CHAOSS, that's just interesting data to pull in because that gives me more of an idea of who the hackathon attendees were than what their like base submissions are. So we might want to add that in depending on like who it looks like it is in the crowd. But just an idea. I find those responses really, really interesting from a hackathon. What do you wish you'd hacked on?
Yeah, I wonder if we can add that to kind of the end discussion as people are starting to wrap up, kind of do, and maybe when they're presenting, we can just ask them, hey, in your lessons learned, what did you enjoy and what were some of the things that you would have loved to see during this hackathon? Also, I'll add a note there in my facilitation notes. Anything else? Great. We made it just on time then. We didn't have to extend. We will, I'll reach out in the Slack channel if there's any other hackathon related items. But I think we should be good to go. We have tech set up. We've got slides. We'll have those slides due by 6:13. All the data ready. The week of or something, depending on however you all want to go about this. And then we will see you all online or in person at this next meeting, but then at the hackathon as well. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.